Hey guys, Spence here. Trying something new. The best way to try it out is trying out something old. That's also new! Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition is the re-release of the hack-and-slash beat-em-up Devil May Cry 4. Now what is the main difference between this and the original release? 1. 3 new playable characters, Lady, Trish, and Virgil, though no new campaigns, more on that later.
What are you talking about? You will come to learn the meaning soon enough.
2. Legendary Dark Knight difficulty, which also was the original release. The PC port is very comparable to the original, basically meaning that it's fine being able to run at 60 frames and at reasonable resolutions. Other words, lightning years away from that Devil May Cry 3 port to the PC. I did have an issue where it would jump out of full screen, but quite frankly that's the only issue I actually been able to find. The main plot basically follows Nero as he tries to figure out why demons are attacking his home, what's up with this dude named Dante, and what nefarious deeds are going on behind closed doors. The plot is really not all that special. You can get more out of it if you're actually familiar with Devil May Cry lore, but for the most part it's really just there for set dressing. Now in the other campaigns they do have an intro cutscene, but after that there's none until the end cutscene when you actually beat the campaign. So yeah, relatively plot-like. Granted, the action and the cutscenes are pretty over the top, but, well, that's Devil May Cry for you. Now on to the actual game. First up is Nero, who uses his sword and devil arm to attack primarily, using his sword for, his basic attacks, and his devil arm to grab enemies and throw them around a bit. Next is Dante, who uses swords, guns, and whatever else he can find, since he's one of the few characters who actively finds new weapons while playing the game. Now on to the new characters. First up is Lady, who fights primarily with guns and range attacks, and all things considered, feels like a very realized character, though it's pretty clear the bosses were not designed to fight Lady, really. Next up is Trish, who can do a lot of damage very quickly, though it'll take a while to get used to since she's a bit different from the other characters, but after you get used to her, you'll be able to do a lot of damage very fast. Lastly, there's Virgil, who, for all intents and purposes, can do just about anything. Need him to close a gap? He can do that. Need him to fight from afar? He can do that. Need him to kill an enemy instantaneously? He can do that. There's a reason he doesn't share his own campaign. When you first boot the game up, you have a choice between the Nero and Dante campaign, the Virgil campaign, or the Lady and Trish campaign. You can jump between these whenever you want, though I have two real issues with it. If you are not familiar with the original release, the Nero Dante campaign is the original version of that, basically. The thing is, the other campaigns are pretty much traces over that campaign. What that means is that while you'll be using different characters that do operate different and play differently, you'll still be going through the same stages, dealing with the same puzzles, fighting the exact same bosses. And even the way they're structured is similar too. In the Lady and Trish campaign, Lady will do all the stages that Nero would end up doing, meanwhile Trish will end up doing all the stages that Dante would end up doing. Virgil gets his own solo campaign, so if you really like Virgil, that's kind of a neat thing, but still he's going through the same stages. Playing it through the first time is fine, since the game introduces new enemies and you learn new moves on a fairly regular basis. But with the sameness of the different campaigns, including enemies, puzzles, stages, and whatnot, the longevity of this game will hinge on your tolerance for this sort of thing.
I'm out of here.
But it's not over yet.
My second gripe is, you want to play as Dante first? Too bad! You're gonna play as Nero until you reach that point in the story. And if you happen to want to play as Trish first, you have to play as Lady first until you reach the point in the story where the changeover would have happened. Luckily, I prefer Lady. Now for a weird technical complaint. For some reason on certain levels, characters will not run when they should and will end up walking. It doesn't happen during combat, but it's still annoying and worth mentioning. And regardless of whatever I say, the action is still Devil May Cry. It's still fast-paced, combo-oriented, and very difficult in the later levels and difficulties, making it a very fun, rewarding experience when you actually do succeed in completing levels, defeating enemies and bosses, and, well, just generally succeeding. Presentation-wise, it excels. Admittedly, it does look like it came from 2008, but even now you can tell it was one of the best-looking games out around that time. Also with reasonable sound effects and a really good soundtrack, though voice acting can be a little spotty with non-main characters, but everything holds up in the end. In short, would I recommend this game? Yes. It's a good character action game, and if you missed out on it the first time around, this is the definitive version to get. Along with the new playable characters and the great gameplay, it's definitely worth the price of $25. That being said, the plot is very meh, and it has issues with repetition, and if you went demon slaying in Devil May Cry 4 before, then you should know it's still worth $25, but you should be aware that while you may be using new weapons and tools to go hunting with, you're going to be finding the same monsters on the same streets.